10 years after his wife died, police knocked on his door and arrested him for murder. The death they once ruled a suicide was never a suicide at all. This is Arcane Echo, where closed cases reopen, official stories fracture, and the truth resurfaces years too late. Tonight's case was buried for a decade, until one assumption collapsed. To understand how a suicide turned into a murder charge 10 years later, you have to go back to 2015, to the moment investigators decided they already knew the answer. A woman is found dead inside her home. No forced entry, no obvious signs of a struggle, nothing visibly out of place. Investigators arrive. Photos are taken, notes are written, and almost immediately, the scene is interpreted, not questioned. Within hours, the conclusion is reached: self-inflicted. The case is closed before doubt has time to form. But suicide investigations rely on one thing above all else: verification. And here, verification never came. Certain injuries were minimized. Certain timelines were accepted without challenge. Certain possibilities were quietly dismissed, not because they were disproven, but because they complicated the narrative. Her husband is not treated as a suspect. He is treated as a victim, a former mayoral candidate. Well-known, well-spoken, calm under pressure. He cooperates. He comforts investigators. He provides a timeline. And because of who he is, that timeline is trusted. No confrontation, no verification, no scrutiny. Police assume something dangerous, that a respectable man has no reason to lie. They accept his version of the final hours. They move on. But assumptions don't close cases. They only pause them. And this one would remain paused for nearly 10 years. Years later, cold case investigators reopen the file. Not because of a confession, not because of a new witness, but because technology has changed. Phone records are reanalyzed. Digital activity is reconstructed. Location data is mapped minute by minute. And slowly, the timeline begins to contradict itself. There's a small window of time, just minutes. In those minutes, his phone shows activity when he claimed he was asleep. Messages appear that he insisted never existed. Movements occur that shouldn't have been possible. Not once, not accidentally, but repeatedly. His story doesn't weaken, it collapses. Investigators don't rush. They recheck everything. Because reopening a death ruled a suicide means admitting something unthinkable, that the system failed. And that failure had a name. Nearly 10 years after her death, detectives return. Not to ask questions, not to clarify statements, but to make an arrest. The man once protected by assumption is charged with murder. A decade-old certainty evaporates in seconds. This case wasn't lost because evidence didn't exist. It was lost because no one demanded proof. Because trust replaced scrutiny. Because status replaced suspicion. And that raises a question far bigger than this case. How many deaths are ruled solved simply because the wrong person was believed? For 10 years, the truth waited quietly inside digital records no one checked, inside timelines no one challenged, inside a story everyone accepted. Justice didn't arrive early. It arrived late. But it arrived. And sometimes, that's the most unsettling part of all. For 10 years, the truth waited quietly. Inside digital records no one checked, inside timelines no one challenged, inside a story everyone accepted. Justice didn't arrive early. It arrived late. But it arrived. And cases like this don't end when the screen fades to black. They echo. This is Arcane Echo, where closed cases reopen and forgotten details refuse to stay buried. If stories like this unsettle you, if you believe the truth matters, even years later, subscribe for more chilling cases where assumptions collapse and silence finally speaks. Because some truths don't disappear. They wait.